The alien forest did not sing. It held its breath. Wind moved, but the leaves did not answer. The human, a quiet scout named Jonas, stepped between blue ferns and black stone, and his boots made the only sound. His emergency beacon blinked a weak red on his wrist. His ship had come down hard at dusk. Now it was night. The sky glowed faint green, like light underwater. Something watched him. He felt it before he heard it. A soft shuffle, a tiny whisper that was not wind. He stopped and raised his headlamp. The beam slid over twisted trunks and long vines and the pale shapes of sleeping flowers. He saw marks in the mud, small prints, with round pads and tiny claw tips. Fresh, 2 sets. They circled his path, then hid in the grass. Jonas did not call out. He kept his voice inside his mouth, steady and calm. He checked his gear, a dull field knife, a flare, a coil of line, a cracked datapad. The antenna on the pad was bent, but maybe the ridge ahead would give him height for a signal. He took 1 step, then another. The prints followed him like thoughts. 2 figures stepped into his light. They were small, no taller than his chest. Their eyes were bright and full. Their ears were pointed and soft with fur, twitching at every sound. Their tails swayed behind them, slow and careful. Their faces looked young but strong. They wore simple belts with pouches and short capes made from leaf cloth. They stood side by side. Then, in the same breath, they moved apart like 2 magnets that could not touch. The first one raised her chin. "I am Ari," she said, voice sharp and clear. "He belongs to me. I found him first." The second one stepped closer to Jonas and folded her arms. "I am Myra," she said, low and steady. "He is not yours. He is under my protection." Their words were simple, but the way they stood was not. Their feet pressed the ground like hunters. Their eyes never left each other for long. Jonas opened his hands to show he carried no threat. "I do not belong to anyone," he said. "My ship crashed. I only need high ground to send a signal. Then I will leave your forest." Ari flicked her ear. "There is danger on the high ground," she said. "My clan watches the ridge." Mira's tail tapped the air. "Her clan steals," she said. "They will take what you have and call it mercy. Come with me instead." The forest answered with a far, low sound. It was not thunder, it was a breath. A heavy breath. Ari's ears went flat for a blink, then rose again. Myra's hands curled, ready to move. They heard it too. Jonas did not look back. He had learned long ago that prey looks back. "What is that?" he asked. "A shadow that hunts," Ari said. "A hornback," Mira whispered. "It smells fear and metal. It likes both." Ari stepped close to Jonas and touched the torn sleeve of his jacket. "Your scent is wrong for here," she said. "The hornback will come. My path is safe. It is fast." Mira moved to his other side. "Her path is fast because it runs through traps her clan left," she said. "My path is quiet. It goes where the wind hides our smell. Choose, human." It was the first time either of them had said his name without knowing it. Human. It felt heavy. He studied them. Ari's hands had small cuts that had healed into fine silver lines. A fighter's hands. Myra's palms were stained the green of sap and leaves. A tracker's hands. Both could guide him, but not together. He tried to step between them. They both moved with him, mirroring each other, refusing to let the other hold the space nearest to him. Their rivalry was a tight rope around his chest. Why? Do you care which path I take? He asked. Ari's eyes flashed. Because if you walk with me, my clan will not harm you, she said, and they will listen to your words. You came from the sky. That has power. Mira's voice softened. If you walk with me, my clan will give you water and a watcher for the night. We do not start fights. We finish them. They were trying to protect him and also trying to win something he could not see. Jonas looked up through the branches. The ridge stood like a dark wall against the green sky. If he could reach its spine, he could fix the antenna and send a distress pulse to orbit. He took a slow breath. We go to the ridge, he said. Both of you stay close. No fighting. If one runs, I follow the other. That is my rule. Ari's mouth opened to argue, then she shut it. Myra's tail drew a small circle and stilled. Fine, Ari said, for now. For now, Mira agreed, though her eyes did not trust it. They moved. Ari walked a step ahead on the left, light on her toes, fast as a whisper. Myra walked a step ahead on the right, testing each patch of ground with the edge of her foot. When vines hung low, Ari cut them with a thin blade flicked from her belt. When the path sank to wet, Mira found stones that held weight. Once Ari reached for Jonas's sleeve to pull him around a deep root, but Myra had already touched his shoulder to steer him the other way. They did not speak of it. Their small acts said enough. The forest tried to slow them. Spore mist drifted from cracked bulbs on the trunks, and it turned a headlamp into fog. Jonas covered his mouth with his scarf. Ari sealed her cape across her nose with 2 quick clips. Myra smeared a paste from a pouch under her eyes, and the mist slid off like rain. They kept moving. The low breath came again, closer now. The ground did not shake, but it remembered how. They reached an old ruin where the trees pulled back for a circle of stone. In the center stood a broken pillar with carvings lines that looked like claw marks in a pattern. Ari touched the marks. With respect, border sign, she said. My clan to the west, hers to the east. Mira watched the shadows. We stand in neither, she said. That is why the hornback hunts here. No one keeps it out. Jonas studied the pillar. One mark repeated 3 times. He traced it. In the air, Ari's eyes softened for a moment, seeing his care for their place. Ari took a thin ribbon from her pouch and tied it around Jonas's wrist, just below the beacon. It was warm from her hands. This says you walk with Ari, she said, voice bright. Mira stepped forward and pressed a leaf, folded like a small star, into the pocket over his heart. This says you are not prey, she said. They glared over his chest like soldiers planting flags on the same hill. Jonas held both tokens because he could not choose, not yet. They crossed the stone circle. The ridge looked closer now, but the air felt heavier. The trees grew shorter, and their leaves had bite scars. Jonas's headlamp flashed a warning as its battery drained. He dimmed it. Ari's pupils widened, catching more light. Mira closed her eyes for a breath and listened. To the wind, then pointed. Left, she whispered. There is open ground to the right. The hornback likes to run. They slipped between 2 thorny bushes. The thorns were black and curved. One scraped Jonas's sleeve and left a white line. Ari hissed and cut a gap. For him, Mira lifted the branch with her shoulder so it would not snap and tell the night where they were. The breath came again, closer, wet, patient. Jonas could feel it in his own throat, like someone else breathing with him. They reached the base of the ridge. A slope of broken rock climbed into the dark. The path was open here. To open, Ari stared up and sheathed her blade. "We cannot run this without sound," she said. "The stones will talk." Mira nodded. "We must move together and stop together. No loose rock." Jonas tapped his boot against the first stone. It held. He looked at Ari. He looked at Myra. "On 3, he said softly. 1, 2. The breath ended in a growl that rolled over the stones like thunder that had learned to hate. From the trees below, something huge moved, slow and sure, as if it had all the time in the world. Ari's ears went flat. Mira's hand found his sleeve without asking. Jonas did not turn around. He looked up at the climb that could save them more, expose them. He felt 2 small pulls on his arms, opposite and equal. The choice he had tried to avoid was already reaching for him. The growl from the forest followed them up the ridge. Each stone shifted under their weight, but they moved carefully together, as Mira had told them. Jonas climbed first, his breath steady, while Ari and Mira stayed close on either side. The hornback's heavy steps cracked branches below, but it did not rush. It was patient. It knew they had no place to run. At the halfway mark, the ridge opened into a ledge. They stopped to breathe. The night air was thin here, sharp and cold. Jonas leaned against the stone, trying to catch his breath. Ari stood tall, scanning the forest below, her ears twitching for danger. Mira crouched low, her hand pressed to the ground, listening through the rock. "The beast waits," Mira whispered. "It is not hungry, it is angry." Ari scoffed. "You cannot know that. It hunts because it is born to hunt." Myra's eyes narrowed. "I know because my people watch the hornback. We study the ground it walks on. You only raise blades and think you understand." Jonas felt the sharpness in her words. It was not only about the beast. The rivalry between the 2 girls was deeper than simple dislike. They were mirrors that refused to meet. "Enough," Jonas said firmly. "If we fight each other, we give the beast what it wants." Silence now. Ari frowned but obeyed. Myra nodded, though her tail swayed with quiet anger. Jonas looked out at the forest. From this height, he could see faint lights far in the distance. Fires, settlements, perhaps the clans they spoke of. His crash had not gone unnoticed. They moved again. The ridge grew steeper. Jonas's boot slipped, but Ari's hand caught his wrist and pulled him up. "Don't fall," she said with a smirk. "I claimed you first. You are mine." Myra hissed softly. "He does not belong to you. He chooses his own path." She stepped close to Jonas, helping him steady himself. Her hand lingered a moment too long, as if to prove her point. Jonas sighed. "I belong to no one. Stop this." But deep inside, he wondered why did they care so much? Why were 2 alien girls fighting over him as if he were more than a lost traveler? The answer came when they reached a narrow pass between 2 black cliffs. Strange carvings ran across the stone, glowing faint blue in the moonlight. Jonas touched one, and the stone hummed softly, as if alive. Mira pulled his hand back sharply. "Don't," she warned. "These are clan marks, old ones. They remember." Blood Ari stepped forward proudly. "My clan made these Sayar a promise. A human from the sky will come one day and change our fate. The stone keeps that memory." Myra spat on the ground. "Your clan twists old words. They think every falling star is theirs. The promise is not yours alone." Jonas froze. Their eyes, their jealousy, their strange devotion, it all made sense. Now, he was not just a man who had crashed on their planet. He was a symbol, a prophecy, something they had been waiting for. "So that's why you follow me," he said quietly. "Not because I am lost. Because your clans believe I matter." Ari lifted her chin. "You are mine to protect. If you walk with me, my people will bow. To you, you will not need to fight for a place." Mira shook her head. "If you walk with me, you will find peace. We will not worship you, but we will walk beside you. That is better than chains made of praise." Their words echoed between the cliffs. Jonas felt the weight of it pressing on him. He had come here, by accident, but to them he was fate. Before he could answer, the ground trembled. A roar cut through the night, closer now, too close. Stones rained from above as the hornback slammed its massive body against the ridge wall. Its eyes glowed like molten iron, and its teeth flashed in the moonlight. "Run!" Ari shouted. She drew her blade, a curved fang of bone, and slashed at the air as if the act alone could drive the monster back. Mira grabbed Jonas's arm. "This way," she cried, pointing to a narrow tunnel in the cliffside, half hidden by vines. The hornback roared again and lunged. Its claws struck the stone where Jonas had stood only moments before. Shards flew, cutting into Ari's cheek. Blood streaked her face, but she did not fall. She snarled at the beast, her small body fierce against its shadow. Jonas hesitated. Two choices again. Follow Ari, who stood ready to fight and claim him as her prize. Or follow Myra, who offered escape, safety, and a path unseen. The ground shook. A second time. He had no more time to think. He grabbed both their hands and pulled them into the tunnel. The hornback's claws scraped the stone behind them, too large to enter. Its roar followed, echoing down the narrow passage. The tunnel was dark. Their breaths filled the space. Ari wiped the blood from her cheek and glared at Mira. "If not for me, he would be dead." Mira fired back, her voice cold. "If not for me, he would be gone already. You risk his life for your pride." Jonas pressed a hand against the wall, steadying himself. "Enough," he said again. His voice echoed louder this time, stronger. "I don't care about your clans or your rivalries. I only care about surviving. If either of you cannot put that first, I leave you here." His words silenced them. For the first time, both cat girls lowered their eyes. Not out of defeat, but out of respect. The tunnel opened into a cavern filled with glowing crystals. Light bathed the walls in shifting colors, blue and violet and green. It was beautiful, almost holy. The air was warmer here, and water dripped. From the ceiling into a small pool, Jonas stepped forward, staring at the light. Ari and Mira stood behind him, their rivalry quiet for now, but their eyes still burned with a question neither dared ask aloud. Which one would he choose when the time came? The cavern glowed with soft crystal light, but Jonas could not relax. His hands still shook from the hornback's roar. Ari sat by the pool, washing the blood from her cheek, her ears sharp with anger. Myra crouched beside the wall, eyes closed, listening for sounds beyond the tunnel. For a few moments, silence ruled. Then the ground trembled. Dust fell from the cavern roof. Jonas froze. The hornback had not left it, was circling above, searching for a way inside. Mira's tail flicked sharply. It will not give up. The hornback hunts until it tastes blood. Erie's eyes narrowed. Then we spill its blood before it spills ours. She stood, gripping her curved bone blade. This cavern is wide enough. We can fight here. Jonas stared at her. Fight that thing? Are you mad? It's twice the size of a tank. Her smile was thin, wild. Size means nothing if you know where to cut. Mira shook her head. Fool, you think bravery is enough? The hornback's skin is iron. One strike will not kill it. She turned to Jonas. We need a trap. The crystals, look, how they hum when touched. They hold energy. Break the right one, and the cavern will fall. The beast will be buried. Ari growled, you would crush us all, just to hide. I say, we kill it with our hands, and prove we are stronger. Jonas raised his hands to stop them. No, we survive first, pride later. Both of you, listen. The ground shook again. This time, cracks split the stone wall. The hornback's claws punched through, each one as long as a sword. Dust clouded the cavern. Jonas's pulse raced. It's coming through. The wall exploded. The beast forced its head into the cavern. Its eyes burned molten orange, its teeth dripping thick saliva. Its roar filled the chamber until the crystals shook with sound. Ari leaped forward with a scream, blade flashing. She slashed at its eye, but the hornback jerked back. The strike only carved a thin scar across its snout. The beast roared louder, shaking its head. Move, Myra shouted. She grabbed Jonas and pulled him aside as the hornback smashed one massive claw down where he had been standing. The stone shattered like glass. Jonas's mind raced. He looked at the crystals glowing on the cavern ceiling. Myra was right, they pulsed like batteries. He snatched the flare from his belt and struck it to life. Its red fire burned bright Ari. Mira, we bring it down together. The hornback pushed deeper into the cavern, forcing its shoulders through the stone. Its body filled the space, a wall of armored flesh. Ari slashed again and again, her small body darting like lightning, but her blade only chipped scales. Useless, Mira hissed. She pointed upward. Jonas, break the crystals above its head. Jonas threw the flare. It struck a cluster of blue crystals. They cracked with a thunderous hum, glowing brighter, then bursting apart. A beam of light shot down, striking the hornback's back. The beast screamed, thrashing in pain. Shards rained down, cutting its flesh. Ari leapt onto its neck, stabbing with fury. See, it bleeds. It can die. Her voice was wild with triumph, but the hornback slammed itself against the cavern wall, shaking Ari loose. She hit the ground hard, rolling in the dust. Blood streaked her arm. Ari, Jonas shouted, rushing toward her. But before he reached her, the hornback lunged at Myra. Its jaws snapped shut just inches from her, teeth crushing stone. Myra scrambled back, pulling Jonas with her. Choose. Myra shouted desperately. Protect her, or protect me. You cannot hold both. Jonas's heart thundered. Ari lay injured on the ground, her blade still in her hand, but too weak to rise. Mira pulled at his arm, trying to drag him towards safety, and the hornback loomed, blocking every path. For a heartbeat, Jonas froze. The prophecy, the rivalry, the choice, it all pressed down on him at once. Then instinct took over. He grabbed a long shard of crystal from the ground. Its edges burned in his hand, buzzing with energy. He faced the beast, shouting to both girls, "Get behind me." The hornback roared and lunged again. Jonas drove the crystal shard into the wound Ari had carved earlier. The crystal exploded with light, sending a shock through the beast's skull. The hornback screamed, thrashing, smashing its head against the cavern ceiling. More crystals shattered, raining deadly shards. The cavern shook like an earthquake. Jonas was thrown back, crashing into the pool. Water closed over his head. He clawed his way up, gasping. The hornback staggered, half its face burned by the crystal's energy. It turned its glowing eyes toward Jonas, hate burning in them. With one last roar, it lunged for him. Ari, bleeding but unbroken, hurled her blade with all her strength. The curved fang struck deep into the hornback's other eye. At the same moment, Mira smashed a heavy crystal shard against its jaw. The beast screamed, blinded, broken, and enraged. It thrashed one final time, then collapsed, its massive body crashing into the cavern floor. The ground split, water surged, and silence returned, broken only by the sound of falling stones. Jonas lay on his back, chest heaving, staring at the dead beast. Ari crawled to his side, her bloodied hand touching his shoulder. "You live because of me." Her voice was weak but proud. Mira knelt on his other side, her eyes fierce. "No, because of both of us. Do not let her lie." Jonas coughed, still clutching the burning shard of crystal. "Enough," he whispered. "We killed it together. That is the truth." But even as the words left his mouth, he knew the rivalry would not end here. The beast was dead, but the choice he feared most was still waiting. The beacon's light stabbed into the sky like a blade of fire. Jonas stood frozen, his arm still lifted, the tiny device glowing red against the night. Ari and Mira stared at it in silence, their ears flat, their tails stiff. Below, on the plains, the two clans had stopped their march. Both sides gazed upward, seeing what they had waited for all their lives. The human, the one from the prophecy, Jonas's throat, was dry. He wanted to believe the signal meant rescue, that a ship from orbit had heard him. But as the sky remained quiet, his heart filled with doubt. Rescue might come, or ruin. Ari broke the silence first. "Now they know," she said, her voice trembling. "Between pride and fear, my people will come for you. You will stand at my side, and they will kneel." Her golden eyes burned with fire. Mira shook her head, stepping closer to Jonas. "No, they will come with chains, not crowns. You will be their weapon, their proof of power. You must not go with her, Jonas. Come with me instead. My people will hide you. We will keep you free." Her voice was steady, but her silver eyes shone with worry. Jonas looked at both of them, his chest heavy. "And if I choose neither? If I stand alone?" Iri's jaw tightened. "Alone, you die." Mira whispered, "Alone, you vanish." The drums began again, first from the west, then from the east, slow, deep, steady, two armies climbing the ridge. Torches lit the night, painting the rock's red dot. Jonas backed away from the cliff edge. "We need to move, now." But there was nowhere left to move. Behind them was the broken cavern and the corpse of the hornback. Ahead, the ridge edge, and two clans closing in from both sides. The girls knew it too. Ari gripped her blood-stained arm, but stood tall, her voice fierce. "Choose now, Jonas. With me, you are a king." Mira grabbed his hand, her voice urgent. "Choose me, Jonas. With me, you are free." Jonas's heart pounded so hard it hurt. Both pulled at him, not with strength, but with hope, with need. He saw fire in Ari's eyes, the fire of battle. He saw calm in Myra's eyes, the calm of quiet truth. Both were real, both were deadly. The ridge trembled with footsteps. The torches were closer now. Shouts rose in two different tongues, but Jonas understood their meaning. They were calling for him. He looked at Ari. He looked at Mira. His lips parted. A word almost left his throat, then the sky answered. A roar, louder than the hornbacks, split the night. A shape descended through the green clouds. Metal, engines. A ship, not alien, human. Jonas's breath caught. His people had heard him. Ari gasped, her claws flexing. The sky answers you. You are chosen. Myra's face went pale, her tail stiff. No, they will take you from us. The ship hovered, its lights blinding. The clans below stopped, their torches flickering like fireflies under a storm. All eyes turned to the ridge, to the human, standing between two alien girls. Jonas raised his hand, shielding his eyes from the ship's light. For a heartbeat, relief flooded him. Rescue, safety. But then the voice came. It was not human, not alien, something in between, cold, metallic, yet filled with hunger. The ship's speakers boomed across the ridge. Subject located. Prepare. For retrieval. Jonas's blood froze. That was not rescue. That was command. That was control. Ari stepped in front of him, teeth bared. They will not take you. You are mine. Myra pressed against his side, whispering, Jonas, run, please. If they take you, you are lost. The ship's lights grew brighter. Lines shot down energy beams, wrapping around the ridge like claws. Jonas stumbled back, caught between the girls, caught between the clans, caught between the sky and the earth. The clans screamed below, some in worship, some in fear. Arrows flew into the night. Spears cracked against the energy beams. But the ship did not stop. It lowered closer, engines tearing the air. Jonas's heart thundered. He had thought the hardest choice was between Ari and Mira, between fire and peace. But now he saw the truth. The real choice had not come yet. Would he belong to Ari's clan, to Mira's clan, or to the ship that called him subject? The ridge shook as the beams reached for him. Ari clung to his arm, fierce and wild. Myra clung to the other, desperate and pleading. Jonas lifted his head. For the first time since the crash, his fear turned to steel. He would not let anyone decide his fate, not the clans, not the prophecy, not the ship above. His voice cut through the roar of engines, through the shouts of the clans, through the pounding of his own heart. I will choose my own path. And then the beams struck. White light swallowed the ridge. Ari's scream, Mira's cry, the clan's shouts all vanished in a single blinding flash. When the light faded, the ridge was empty. The clans fell silent. The ship was gone. Only the echo of Jonas's last words lingered in the night, carried on the wind like a promise or a curse.